All right, everyone, let me go back to how this chart was before so that you guys can see where it was at before. So this resistance level was broken through and the bulls had a run. Bears leveled it out. Bulls had a run, and then the bears tore this down and the bulls leveled it out. So interesting enough, the support level was broken through and the 50-day moving average, but that was only for 30 minutes in the day. Most likely, for the most part, me as an investor, I would have actually sold the moment I saw it break through the support level and the 50-day moving average. Me personally, um, especially if I bought in somewhere in this area, right? If I bought in somewhere around the resistance level, up here during the day, or if I bought in somewhere around here, anything above that, I would have probably saw that as a concern if the support level was broken and if the 50-day moving average was broken. If it was up here, I would have sold because I would have thought that the bears are gaining the control and the 50-day moving average broke through. So I actually would have ended up taking a small loss because look what happened right after. It just soared. And that's where sometimes when the support level is broken, and even if the 50-day moving average is that close, you have to sometimes see what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes. Now, if the next 30 minutes it continues to go down, that is where you either decide to do a stop loss or you either decide to hold if you believe in the company. I mean, that's really what it would take at that point, because yeah, that's a key indicator of, oh snap, this might become bearish. But another thing, when it looks that bearish or that cheap of a price, remember it was up here and so forth, the bulls say, oh snap, it's back to $10, let's load up on stocks. And if they all think like that at the same time, this is what happens. So the bulls came in and said, you know what, let's stock up on stocks. Let's bring this one up. So they brought it from below the 50-day moving average, below the support level, broke through it, broke through the resistance level, broke through new resistance levels, and created new support levels. I mean, that right there is one of those that is so uncertain when one is a trader, right? There's uncertainty there, what's going on. And sometimes, you win some, you lose some. I would have sold here personally. I'm not saying that that's the strategy anybody should use if to sell here or buy here. I'm not telling anybody to buy or sell. I'm just saying my personal experience, how this day played out. I would have done that and had a stop loss. And look, so sometimes even when you read the chart specifically for what it is and how the chart is, this right here, nobody would have called it. I mean, you just couldn't. The only way you could have called it is if you waited 30 more minutes and saw how volume started to act, because yeah, volume had a lot of selling, and then look, volume started to turn green, a lot of buying, and that's how this continued. So sometimes, as the famous saying, I wasn't patient if I made that decision, and I was also not believing in the company, because when you buy a stock, you have to believe in the company and you have to have patience. That famous saying of the stock market is the transfer of money from the patient to the impatient is so true. And Warren Buffett explained that and stated that. And ever since he's always said that, it's resonated with me. And he's always said too, if you don't see yourself leaving your money in a company for more than a year or for years from now, don't even put it in a company for 10 minutes. That he's basically saying, like, if you don't believe in the company, then what are you doing in it? So you have to believe in the company and you have to have patience. I would have ran out of patience here, me personally. Um, but this who would have called it? Honestly, it looked bearish, it got bearish, and then it just swung up. Now, if I did see it go back up here and it started to rise, I would have bought shares because I'm seeing it get closer, and I would have also remembered the resistance level, right, that I saw 12.14, and once it broke through that and it used it as support and I see it keep going, I mean, I would have probably either waited till then or I would have bought somewhere in the middle and made my losses back. But I wouldn't go that far. I mean, sometimes I would just call it a day and find a new stock to trade. But I did want to share that with you guys because that was very interesting how it became a very bearish trend. It became into bearish territory and the bulls stocked up. So that's why support levels in the 50-day moving average, you want to watch it very closely. You don't want to react too fast. You don't want to be impulsive. You need to take action, but don't be reactive. Like you're just gonna automatically like jump out. You gotta watch. It sometimes pays more to watch it. And let's say that from this bar, it went down even lower. Let's say it went down another like 10 cents. I know 10 cents is a lot depending on how many shares you have. But if you're starting to feel worried, then you get out and then you automatically know that there's going to be a bearish run. But if you waited 30 more minutes, you could have gotten the green light that this is going back, and then an hour, and then boom, look how the rest of the day went out. So that's very interesting to see. It's so interesting how stocks behave, but stocks behave according to the market and according to the buyers and the sellers. So we, the people, are the ones changing and manipulating how the stocks go. And also, this was a day that there was a pump, the 7th. So even if it went down like that, hope can always help. If there was a pump, then obviously maybe the pump's effects weren't being seen just yet, and people were selling off, taking advantage of it, right? That the pump was keeping it up here, and then all of a sudden just people sold, and then they just bought back in. I mean, there's so many variables, but I did want to share that with everybody that it's so important that when we're looking at support levels, and even if they're broken, that doesn't mean automatically sell, that doesn't automatically mean buy. That's something to just watch so that you can pay attention to those cues as investors to make your own rational decisions. That's the importance of this. Now, usually, obviously, the rule of thumb, support level is broken. Watch it. If it continues to fall lower, if it's above the 50-day moving average, just watch it because it could be that the bears are gaining control. And if it's below the 50-day moving average significantly, right? Like, for example, this support level in today's chart, if it gets broken, that's going to be further away from the 50-day moving average. And even if the bulls try to run back up, it's in bearish territory. And that's something to actually pay close attention to. But that day it was really close to the support level and the 50-day moving average, and then it just skyrocketed from there. So that was very interesting. So let's look at this chart. The first thing is the resistance level, $14.99, $15, just to round it up. $15 is the resistance level. If that can be broken and used as support, I'd keep a close eye on it because if it's being used as support, this could continue to break through new resistance levels. Now, the 50-day moving average is 1301, very close to the closing price, 1322. Why is it important? Well, before the 50-day moving average was getting closer to the stock price, and now it's actually worked its way to get closer to it again. So it's a matter of time that this is going to break below the 50-day moving average if the bulls don't rally up to bring this in an upward direction. Obviously, this was a very bearish trend. Bulls leveled it out, but there's a drop of bear, and that's where the tug of war is going to be significant tomorrow in the morning and how the day continues to play out. So they brought it up from 1288. That's when it closed at 4 p.m. and they ended it at 8 o'clock at 1322. So that's very interesting. The other thing, the support level to know how bearish this is going to get is 1206. If that gets broken through, I'm not saying that the Bears completely won, but they're gaining control and pulling this one further away from the 50-day moving average. It was broken through 4 times throughout the days. That lets you know as well that there's a possible chance that the Bears are going to continue to test it and see if they can keep this stock below the 50-day moving average to gain it into bearish territory. So we're going to have to see how this one plays out tomorrow, how this one reacts. It's had a lot of uh, volatileness, right? And it's been a bullish run for the bulls from this whole EV sector hype. And this was the first time that it dropped below the 50-day moving average. And now it dropped 4 times. So it's dropped 5 times, a total of 5 times in the recent days. It's a matter of time where the bubble, right, of the bulls getting exhausted is going to happen, and the bears are going to gain the upper hand on them. I'm not sure how close we are to that, right? I can't predict that, but that's something to keep in mind and watch. So the bulls have to get hefty to bring this up. We'll see how it plays out tomorrow. It's going to be interesting. And as always, if you learn something new, subscribe to my channel, hit the like button and let me know you watched this video, and share it with your friends and community. Thank you for watching.